Okay, this meeting is being recorded. Got it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cluster B Milkshake. I am your host, along with Support Puppet, and we have a guest, Anne Marie, we are going to discuss domestic violence with another woman. Okay, this is very important to me because all we ever hear about is men on women violence. We don't hear that much about man on man violence in the gay community. And I have never heard of female on other female violence. So I hope you guys stick around and hear how Anne got mixed up in a relationship with another woman, and she's never been with another woman. Okay, I have talked to a lot of people who this have happened to before, so let's ask the questions. So Anne, tell me about what made you attracted to a woman for the very first time.
Well, I think we were very close friends. So that friendship was very intimate, very creative. We were collaborating on some performance projects. And I think there was, she's very charismatic, very beautiful. I really saw her as kind of an otherworldly creature, kind of like a Venus. Yeah, I was really sort of I admired her. I thought yeah, she really projected this air of confidence and strength and just very, I thought, effervescent.
Okay, so you admired her. Did she do anything to come after you in the relationship?
I think it kind of progressed slowly. I think we both, there was sort of a mutual crush, and we were both very shy about making the first move. I think she might have kissed me first. Yeah.
So when did you guys start your relationship?
Um, that
I
was
mean, like how long were you guys together, and then it was like a few months, and then she kissed you, and then did she want to like come over, go on dates? I mean, what how quick did she want to enmesh with you? Did you feel enmeshed? Did you feel love bombed?
not, I don't know about love bombed. I think it was more like really from pretty early on, like very, it became very immersive. It became, like at least, I don't know how she experienced it, but I was, like not paying as much attention to my normal work. Um, I was, yeah, very invested and kind of intrigued. I think we started getting like romantically involved about, let's say, about a year after we had been friends, and then probably like maybe 3 or 4 months leading up to making it official, there was, a connection. There was some kind of ambiguous, flirty sort of thing going on. Yeah.
Okay, so after a year, when you guys started dating officially, when did you start to see things are not quite what they seem with her?
Mm, there were red flags pretty early on. A lot of them had to do with just, I felt like there was a lot I didn't know. There were some inconsistencies in her sort of backstory. Um, I felt like I couldn't ask her certain questions. I felt uncomfortable setting certain boundaries, like around money, um, around sort of being clear about what I wanted or how I wanted the relationship to be. Yeah.
Well, you told me that, I mean, she would make up like super elaborate stories. Now, we don't have to go into the stories that she, made up, but I mean, some of this shit was just like fucking novel writing, dude. It was like, what? Slaying dragons and shit. Let's just, hypothetical. And even though, I mean, you had to have known that it sounds fucking bullshit, but um, half of you kind of like justifies that, okay, well, maybe, did you feel like you were being lied to?
Yes.
Okay.
I even tried to do like a little, when it was stupid, like online background check or whatever on her.
That's
Because
good.
I just thought there was something off. Yes, I did sense that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And but if you challenged her, what happened?
Um, it would be very confusing. I do remember that at the beginning. It would be very confusing. I think I'd even presented to her like, oh, I did this background check and here's what I found. Um, um,
were you trying to be
no,
innocent? Were you
yeah,
just
I mean, because it was like I found it was just something that, seemed like maybe she didn't know about it. And it seemed like, oh, maybe this is something you want to take care of. It was like a minor thing. Um, and yeah, and she got very stressed and I guess blamed it on somebody else, maybe like a previous partner, whatever the reason for some delay in dealing with this. And and then she got very talk to me about her privacy and and I felt like, okay, yeah, legit. So I think there were, I guess, like easier explanations for some of it that I could understand. Like she didn't start flying off the handle and like going into a total rage or something right away. It was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, I can understand that. Like she has, this or that boundary, got it, or like I need to wait to ask, about this or that, or I guess we'll have to wait until we're dating like 2 years before, you know, it can be exclusive or whatever, things like that.
Did she set up these boundaries, or did you just feel like I cannot ask shit? Did she say we ain't talking about that shit? We're not talking.
Um, yeah, I mean, she would, or like it would clearly, it would go left, she would maybe get upset, she would get very distant, or she would sort of ice me out for a couple days, and then say she had doubts about the relationship, and I would be like, falling over myself to say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, push a boundary. And then, yeah, I guess I kind of would also sort of figure out like, oh, I guess that's a boundary that I shouldn't cross because I don't
Right.
to her to like, it was kind of like a, I guess, the silent treatment type of
Yeah. It's another eggshell on the floor for you to walk. Be careful not to walk over on, walk on. Yeah, she conditioned you not to fucking question her shit.
yeah.
Um, remember when we talked about how she seemed like she was two different people at some times? Like, was that happening before she started to lay hands on you? Was that, or did that start to emerge? Is that the word?
Mhm.
Out after she became touchy and not in the good way.
I think that emerged maybe more after, and I think that also, I think in part might have been related to me like seeing her on the one hand as this kind of, wonderful friend and, somebody that I felt like I had known for 1,000 years, which was maybe another red flag, that I opened up to her completely. And yet I really didn't know much about her, but somehow I still thought we were very close. Um,
Mhm.
and, so I saw her in that way as this sort of friend and, beautiful kind of like mentor, whatever. And then on the other hand, I saw this, yeah, like kind of splitting anger, like very unrecognizable thing, and didn't really want to deal with it. So I think, yeah, it's sort of, I kind of also saw it as like, okay, this is just maybe something that happens if she's really upset or drunk or something like that.
Mm-hmm. When was the first time she got handsy with you? Because things start off slow. So not only was she already doing the mind fuckery thing, projecting all of her self-loathing shit onto you, blaming you for fucking everything, blaming you for her behavior, blaming that, you know, she had to treat you this way. I mean, you are a very strong-willed personality yourself, and I can see you challenging her. I mean, you research fucking everything. You write papers about fucking, you know, smart shit. You use the biggest words on the fucking planet, and dealing with her, who is like, you know, so I can see her also being jealous of that in you and wanting to knock you down a peg for
Mm.
like, don't fucking talk to me like that, smarty pants type shit. You know, I can see that shit. But so when was like, besides all that, how, you know, the majority of people have to deal with, you know, our you know, defensive behaviors that, you know, get very verbally violent. When did she first touch your ass in a not okay manner?
I think there were 2 times. I guess probably they happened in pretty quick succession. The first I remember, we'd been up it was maybe let's see, maybe 6 months or less, pretty quickly into the relationship. Um, I think I had been sleeping on the couch that morning because she was really hyped up on like an energy drink, and I was sort of getting like tired or whatever. I think there was something weird going on. So I went to sleep on the couch, and I think she had to be up the next morning to go somewhere. And I woke up to her on top of me. She was hitting me in the face, and she had her hands around my neck. Um, and I think I started crying, and I was saying over and over, "You're hurting me. Like, hello, you're hurting me." And she sort of snapped out of it, almost like as if she had been dissociating. And then she was crying, and sort of, then I think we had a whole long discussion about like, whoa, she was like, I don't know how this happened. Maybe I have an issue. And I think we went out to eat, and then we went back to the house, and I think later that night she actually showed me the movie What's Love Got to Do with It for the first time. Yeah, so I think it happened, and I was able to justify it as like, that was weird. That was a weird episode. I guess she dissociated. Like, that's kind of scary. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. And the next time I said something that was not objectively offensive, but she took offense to it. We were having a discussion about like elections or something. And I said something that was probably, she viewed as like kind of like a smart ass comment. And I'm sure it was. And she explained to me that I had been disrespectful and that she was going to beat the shit out of me.
So she told you she was going to hurt you.
Yeah, like almost like a parent kind of explaining to a child sort of why they're going to get a beating. And and she did this one often, and she would tell me, I might as well like stand up. And then she did that.
How did you feel when she was basically letting you know that you're going to get hit? I mean, like a child, and their parents like, you did something bad and I'm going to punish you. And punishments are so you don't do them again. So were you like, oh fuck, I better not do this again at that time? I mean, it doesn't fucking matter what you do. If a person is going to, project in violence, they're going to fucking do it for every infraction, that you do ever. But in that moment, how do you think, if you can remember, like, I might as well just take it and hopefully it'll be over soon? Did you fight back? Did you, what was going through your head?
I think the first thing I would try to do was like keep kind of frantically explaining to her and like apologizing, like, no, like you're taking it this way. I didn't mean it that way. Like, this is what I was trying to say. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm not implying that, it's this or this, like whatever she thought was offensive, like, so I would sort of panic and basically try to be using words to, make her not do that. And then I think the next thought would be like, is there an exit? And then she would usually, like trap me in the room. And then I would, try to get out. She might view that as me having like been aggressive or something. Yeah. But then I would just take it, and I think definitely walk away from it confused, but certainly on some level that became more embedded each time that she did it. That, I should be careful of what I say, or that I shouldn't, have, a few glasses of wine and like get kind of mouthy and fresh, or I shouldn't be disrespectful,
Mhm.
which I've never thought about a person my own fucking age.
Yeah.
Uh,
The uh, the first time when she was on you, I mean, you're sleeping on the couch. So do you think that you guys got into some sort of, you know, I'm not I'm not sleeping with you? Because I'm only trying to think of if she was having an abandonment reaction to you sleeping on the couch,
oh,
with
yeah,
her.
no, I think actually if I remember the explanation that she gave for that was like, she was mad, and she was, I think, saying this, while she was like hurting me. So it didn't seem very dissociative, but she was like late. She had slept through her alarm for wherever she needed to be, and she was furious, and her first move was to attack me in this really scary way. So that might have triggered something for her, like the panic of being late, being
Yeah.
stressed. But yeah, like I think, she just, that night before, she'd been like just really hyper, jumping on the bed, everything like that. And I just like needed a nap.
Yeah, I've heard, uh, I did a video on the different kinds of rage from cluster Bs all across the board. And one of them was one person got into a verbal altercation. It had to do with an alarm, but it wasn't the alarm. It was something underneath, something that she was holding a resentment for. And because of the alarm issue, she was like, now I get to fucking rage. Now I can let it out. So I'm thinking she was fucking pissed about some other bullshit, and
Yeah.
she had an excuse to fucking rage on you in that moment.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds right. Yeah.
yeah. Also, you making excuses for her, not making excuses for yourself. No, that's not what I meant, dude. I fucking tried that with a fucking borderline. They don't fucking care.
Yeah.
No offense to borderline family, but yeah, because making excuses for why you said it is not empathizing with them on how they feel. They
Mm.
feel they feel bad because of what you said, and you're supposed to, be like, I understand that you're mad about the thing. I shouldn't have said it. And you don't make an excuse why you said it. Just, I shouldn't have said it. I'll be more careful next time. That fucking shit. That's what they want to fucking hear. You're the greatest. You're the best. Or whatever. I mean, I'm talking shit, but I'm sure that that's happened to me too. And I wanted my people to kiss my ass as well to regulate my own emotions.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, I'm happy as shit. You're still in pain. You're still traumatized, but I'm fucking tits, bro. I'm fucking happy as shit. Thank you for regulating my emotions. And now you're fucking scared and walking on eggshells all the time. Do I know you're in pain and doing this? No, I do not. I'm just, as long as I'm happy, the world is fucking perfect. Perfect. Um, so what is okay. So she did laid hands a few times. You kept going back. So what was how did you justify that to yourself? Like she was sorry, or you think because she said that she doesn't know what the fuck's going on, she dissociated. What do you think? Because her putting that motherfucking movie on, dude, that was conditioning you. That was fucking conditioning you, showing you what Tina Turner has to apologize to fucking Ike, dude. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'll make sure that I always come to you with everything. I will not make decisions on my own so you won't kick my ass, right? So, I mean, to me, from my point of view, and I've watched that movie a few fucking times, and yeah, so um how did you feel going back after the physical violent acts? And can you tell me how often they happen too?
At this point, it was, I mean, I would say maybe once every couple weeks at this stage, and then once we were quarantined together and it was more immersive, then it was, I couldn't even tell you how many times. It was very frequent. Um, so yeah, initially it was more episodic, and it was a little bit more like rolling a dice. If we were hanging out, we lived separately. She would come over, or we would go out, maybe to a hotel or do something. And I would try to plan these activities that were fun, and we'd be in some really nice place. And like the chances of getting into a fight or being, maybe bored around the house and something happening were less. Of course, things still happened, and I just viewed them as sort of nightmares that were outliers. I think that was how I just like kind of like, this was really bad, but here are the reasons why it happened. And like, there's all this other good stuff going on. And I think the verbal and the emotional abuse, maybe it was like less powerfully felt. So I still felt like there was something supportive there, or like some possibility, that, that stuff was somehow like an aberration from the norm, not sort of the norm. Yeah.
Except for during COVID.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Because I saw all the other sort of dynamics at work. It, was the physical, it was the destruction of property. It was horrible hours long verbal tirades, silent treatment, just, terrible, to be around. I would just like hide in my room most of the time. Yeah. So I think at that point it was still, yeah, there were more gaps that I could fill in with like pretty stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, it always does get closer and closer together. What you said that she would always bring up the same argument that never got resolved, and it continued all the time, the same what do you call it, bringing up that she's actually abusive to you.
Yeah. So this was kind of after all the kind of immersive stuff. So things had been going on for a while, and I had taken some pretty bad hits, and um, yeah, and then at one point she had, I went to bed and she went through my phone, um, and she saw that I had been texting a friend that I had mentioned that she was abusive, and this was a very explosive episode. Days of rage, and then a year of significantly escalating abuse after that. And the argument was, she was upset, felt betrayed that I was saying that she was abusive, that I clearly thought that she was abusive. Um, and I would have, imagined like this might be an opportunity for me to sort of explain why I didn't share that with her at that point. because clearly that seemed like the big gap, or maybe the betrayal was that, well, why didn't you just tell me, hun? Right. But no, she just wanted me to admit that I had been lying, that she was not in fact abusive. And that was really hard for me because on the one hand, she's destroying my stuff and, dragging me around by my hair and, just, broke my ribs at one point, just like, beating the fuck out of me. And I want that to stop. I also am not going to say that she's not abusive. How could I? She's literally abusing me as we're having this conversation. And it, that was over and over and over again. Yeah.
Tell me about the promise to never tell the cops about the abuse.
Yeah. So I would write her these like a whole series of apology letters. Basically, after there would be a very violent episode, and I'd have pictures of like whatever, my face all fucked up. And then later that night, or early that morning, there would be an apology letter of me, going for pages about why I was so disrespectful in saying something that upset her, and making all these promises to her that I would not call the cops unless it got to a point where like she was going to kill me, that I would not report anything, that I was loyal. Yeah. And she, I think, kept them, although she would never really accept them. It would be like, oh, I delivered it to her too late, or I didn't answer this question, I need to go back and edit it. Or she just, I would give it to her, like, please, here, and then she would take it and just not even read it. Yeah.
So tell me, this goes hand in hand with you doing all the research and trying to find a way to fix the relationship. So tell me all the steps that you were trying to go through to kind of salvage, all this brokenness. Like what did you think that you could, or hoping, what was your hope? And what did you do? What did you do?
Yeah. So the way it started was, well, she actually told me that I was so crazy I should be institutionalized, or she would have me institutionalized. And I thought that might have been true on some level. So I went into therapy. And after about 8 months or so of therapy, my therapist informed me that I was involved with a, very malignant narcissist, and that she did acknowledge that I may not be able to hear that at that time, but basically I'd been living in like a fun house, and to look it up on my own time. And so then I did. And I, when she was not around, because she still didn't live with me at this point, she would just come over. I did, I watched the Dr. Ramani videos. I read books. I, took notes. I mean, notebooks and notebooks full of copious notes, really just trying to understand all of it, and kept asking questions like, but what if this kind of could be possible as like a way to communicate, with her? Like, I read psychological studies of like therapists that did like a corrective emotional experience, and knew that I couldn't really play that role, but still maybe I could learn something about that dynamic and like be a good enough kind of caretaker and support and parent. And so I tried to just incorporate those things at first in my dealings with her, and also kind of get a little distance from the gaslighting, like starting to see like, okay, I may not be the crazy one, although I'm miserable. And then the violence kept getting worse, the more I learned, and the more I tried to use some of these techniques like gray rock. That one, I think, resulted in a pretty brutal assault, Um, and, yeah. And then I had some time alone. I was moving. I started watching, I think Lee Hammock's channel. I started to watch your channel, because I wanted to then get the perspective, like somebody who did not see things the way I see them, like not somebody who's just sort of talking, I don't know, giving a lot of language for something that I felt like I understood. And I also felt like there wasn't a ton about domestic violence. I wanted to understand kind of why she was doing what she was doing and how I could get through to her. And I started to see that this might be hard to get through to her. But I still tried. I had very, hours and hours. I would try to sit on the phone with her and explain it to her, and like, boom, she's deflecting, boom, she's minimizing, like, done, really just trying to work through that with her, trying to communicate with her in all these different ways. I sent her the videos, I sent her articles, tried to set more boundaries with her. It just got worse and worse. She became less violent for a time, but she got really resentful. Yeah. Because she felt like, I was so kind of being like a know-it-all, and like she resented me playing any sort of parental role. Like basically I'd, kind of be saying, no, like, we're not gonna do, no, like, and I don't think she liked that. And I think also at that point I was tired, and just miserable and wanted to die. And so even without the violence for, again, a short time, I was not happy. I was so unhappy. And I saw that it really just could not, it wasn't only about the physical abuse, it was all of it. I had nothing to say after a point, and then there was only silence. We would just be staring at a wall.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to when we were talking, when you called me, just to get a little more perspective on her mental state, because, people will say, oh yeah, they're malignant, they're fucking sadists, they're blah, but tell the class about some of the sadistic shit that she fucking loved to do to you. I don't know if you want to talk about the sexy sex stuff, but watching you be scared and stuff, all that bullshit. Give us a taste of that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that stuff, especially towards the end, was like very emotional, like where even though I knew about like the gray rock and this and that, like, and I would set boundaries and stuff, and try to like, no, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to, it didn't really make that much of, like, she could always kind of wear it down, and would just go for 2 or 3 hours saying just the most horrific things that were totally, it was like when I would already be at a really low point, like I had come close to like losing my job. I was looking for some support, whatever, and she would just get on the phone or whatever and just start going into kind of digging in, like, you're going to be alone forever, you're a slut, you're just on and on and on. Couldn't get a word in edgewise, and I would, by the end of it, just give up on trying to talk, and I would just be like like losing it, and then she would smile, and be like, oh, love you, babe. And she would be all of a sudden in a buoyant mood, and I would be like on the floor sobbing, and there was no reason for it. It was really, that felt quite sadistic to me. There were also times where she would try to scare me. I think at one point she had made me give her my phone. I think we were at a hotel, and whenever she did that, I knew she was going to do something really bad. Because there would be this vibe of like, she would either unplug the phones or she would take my phone, as if she knew like somebody ought to call the cops. And so, yeah, so she took my phone, and then she, brought me outside of this hotel, and I was like begging her to just stay in the room. And she's like being all like, I don't know, like kind of psycho-y, yeah, like very cold, very expressionless. And it's like this dark, like a hotel in like the middle of like a highway. There's nothing to see outside. It's just like a dark, like parking garage. And she sort of is taking me by the arm and like leading me in there, and like, oh, why don't we go down these stairs? And I'm like, like just really getting freaked out that she's gonna like murder me in that parking garage. Like I had this very, so it'd be things like that. And then we'd walk, eventually back into the hotel. She'd seem pleased, and then, whatever, would want to do something else. She also at one point tried to, would fuck with me around like, maybe I have a gun, maybe I don't. What would you think about that? And I'd be like, please don't get a gun. Like, you're the last person who should ever have a fucking gun. And she would, I'm sure she was fucking with me at a point, or trying to gauge like what my reaction would be. But, it was just really these sort of, kind of like sort of going over an emotional cliff, and then sort of being like pulled back, but I'm still kind of gasping, and like totally off kilter. So yeah, I don't know. Are those maybe some examples?
Yeah, that's good. And when I caused so much distress in my ex where he was depressed, I was so fucking happy because he caused me distress. So, and I was just like, yeah, I fucking got this motherfucker. I even took a picture and actually drew that motherfucker. I wanted to keep that image forever, that I caused you so much pain. And when I cause you pain, that means that you give a shit. If you are upset, you care. If you're indifferent, you don't give a shit, So, I mean, she probably thought you really gave a shit with all the fucking distress yo ass was in.
Yeah. Well, I definitely did. Yeah. Like I really, really loved her,
Yeah. And what is how would she act after she hurt you? What would she do right after she hurt you? Would she shame you for being like crying, or would she take care of you?
It would vary. I would always hope that she would take care of me. I think one time she cried, that was very rare. Usually she would, like, let's say it was maybe up in my office or something, and she would trash the office, beat me up, all kind of torn, bruised, whatever, on the floor, like crying. She would usually, or, she might pour dirt on me or alcohol. Then she would go downstairs, go into the bedroom, and fall asleep within minutes. And then sometimes she would get up a few hours later and like, kind of pull me off the floor and, say something kind of mean, like, oh, wow, you're so dramatic. Like, damn, like up here, want to be a victim so bad. Like, get your ass down here, like that kind of thing. So I guess I would still view that as like, oh, she cares, At least she came to get me. At least she knows that I'm like, whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, like it wasn't, sometimes she would make fun of me if I like, she had, I don't know, hit me and I fell down or something. She would like kind of imitate the way that I fell and like, wow, you're so clumsy. Or like, you look so fat. Yeah. So it kind of ran the gamut, but usually it was very uncaring.
Yes. Yeah. So when did you decide I'm done and I need help getting the fuck out of this situation?
She had pulled out, like dragged me down a few flights of stairs, ripped out like half my hair, and did something really violent sexually. And that kind of took things to a whole new level for me. And that changed it. I don't know if I realized fully if I could put it into words at that time, but I had then at least one foot out the door. And then, I guess when I was talking to you after we spoke, that was, I think I sort of wanted to be proven wrong. I kind of wanted you to tell me like, no, it's not so bad, like kind of, but definitely hearing it from you that it actually was pretty bad, and that this was somebody that, is dangerous. And then I wanted to be done. And I think I then blocked the number, or, right after the call, or, the next morning or whatever. And I was going to just be done. And I think my approach was going to just be to block her numbers and kind of focus on doing my stuff and not really make like a whole kind of announcement, not have a possible confrontation, because I knew that would not go well.
And what did I say to warn you if that didn't work? Do you remember me begging you to do something if that didn't work?
Yes, I think you begged me to call the police. And I think you also warned me that if she showed up at this point to my house, that it would get ugly, and that I should call the police and, be prepared to, and, really not believe what she was saying to me, and like really take steps to prioritize my safety / life.
Yes, that you had to be selfish and take care of yourself not worry about your abuser. I think a lot of people, they feel bad that they're going to get their abuser in trouble. You still love them. You think that you're going to make up after the fucking, they go to jail.
Yep.
Oh, we'll just make up and get back together. Oh, but I might get punished later. Well, they fucking beat me up anyway, whatever. But, or, and especially, you've been conditioned to, take the abuse. You have your own, trauma that you brought into the relationship that made you like almost like make excuses for your abuser, and you don't want to be alone. You've been with her forever, so I mean, when you've been with somebody for such a long time, you don't want to rip the Band-Aid off and get rid of them. And what I'm always telling everybody is too fucking bad. You have to. And you have to go through the grieving process. It's the grieving process is so painful that people would rather stay in mediocrity relationship of fucking never getting your needs met than going through the pain of being rid of the toxicity, because you're in it all the time. So you're just filled with their poison, and and just trying to detox. You're detoxing from the environment in which you lived, and it fucking sucks. But I don't know if you want to talk about what happened or give crib notes. I don't know if you can. But did the phone blocking work?
No. Yeah, let's just say that she interpreted that as she showed up that same night.
She showed up that same night.
Yeah, I think I blocked her in the morning. She showed up that night. And I was surprised and kind of freaked out, and I let her in, we had a conversation. It became she got really violent. And I did have to call the police, because she was trying to kill me. And yeah, it was terrible. But even in those moments, of it being like so scary, it was still hard for me to actually call the police. And I, after they came, and it really, seemed like, okay, this is, there was a mandatory order of protection. I still had some idea that there could be a reconciliation, but some part of me thought that.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the other part of me thought, like, what? She's gonna like apologize for trying to kill you, and you're gonna be like, oh, I forgive you. Like, it's a stupid idea. But I still was sort of mired in this attachment and kind of dependency, feeling like I was in such a wrecked place, physically, emotionally, spiritually, professionally, like career wise, that I needed help. I needed somebody, I wanted somebody to support me, and I wanted her to take care of me. So I think that was hard to let go of, but certainly the no contact, with the restraining order, made it easier. And I got stronger and realized, just objectively, how much better my life is. Um, but I will also say that I think what I learned in the course of like talking to you, and also just going through, well, all of this, is like the only thing, like I tried a million things, to get her to stop, or to try to fix it. The only thing that mattered, were consequences. That was it. Didn't matter at all if I said something, I was sad, if I was angry, if I was trying to explain, it didn't make any difference. It was a whole total waste of time. Only thing she heard was consequences and consistency. That, if I show up to Anna's place, she's going to call the fucking cops, and I don't want to get arrested. The handcuffs hurt, whatever. And now she knows that, and she's left me alone. And so I'm grateful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. But let's also remember that protective orders are just pieces of paper, and you need to watch your back, right? And I tell you, please always be vigilant. Please. um get I mean, you're gonna do what you want, of course, but I'm always like, please just get a camera for your fucking
Oh, I
house.
have that. I had that. I had them installed like 2 weeks after that incident with the police.
Yes, please get,
I
yeah.
walk around with like a personal alarm. I think, yeah, that's it.
Good.
Mm.
And the cops are they still on high alert for you, just in case you dial them too, that because you have a protective order on your
Yeah,
ass?
I think they're aware. And then I have my whatever, my alarm system like wired to like call the local police station instead of the whatever 911, because I guess it's faster. So
Mhm.
yeah, but they're aware that there's a restraining order on her at this address.
Okay, good. Good. So, are there any parting words that you would like to tell the planet? Any like massive red flag where, or a moment when you realized that you should have left, but you talked yourself out of it? Is there any moment that you knew that this was it? Like, I'm making my choice, I'm going to stay with it, or I need to run right now, and you changed your mind?
I would say, it was never that simple for me, like, because I think for most of it, I didn't see a way out. So I would try to imagine what, basically how to manage it. Like maybe we won't live together. Maybe, whatever, like ways that I could maybe have a life or be remotely happy, and or safe, but kind of understanding that she would always be there, like that was kind of an inevitability.
Mhm.
So I understand, if other people are in that place. And what I would say is that, you know, um, just understand that, there will be some kind of a wake up call. For me, I think I described what that was, when you want more information. Um, and at that point, I would make a safety plan. That was another thing that really saved my life in that moment. I had mapped out in my house how I would escape if things really escalated to a point that I needed to like run out. And that gave me literally it was 5 seconds. And I went out the door that she wouldn't go out, and you know, took her, a few seconds to know which door to chase me out of, and boom, and then I was free. So I would recommend that for, if any of this resonates with you. And just I guess a wise person, once told me, like, graveyards are full of people, women, but men as well, who thought that their relationship was different, or
Yeah.
that their partner would not actually kill them.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
yeah, and I hope people will listen to this and really wake up and know that it's difficult to leave these situations and want to remove themselves. And do you have any resources that people can, uh, 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 you know, contact, or books or something that's going to help them, give them courage to get the fuck out, or when them being out, because you know what the hell, what's up. So what do you recommend?
So yeah, I guess a book that really helped me was Melanie Brown has a book called Brutally Honest. It's a memoir. It has a lot to do with coercive control and a really brutally abusive relationship. It's a memoir. I think it's one of the best things I've ever read. Most just very complex and relatable, about what she went through. And now I think she's a spokesperson, DV activism in the UK. That's a wonderful one. There's a documentary about Tina Turner. It's called Tina, from 2021. I think it's available on YouTube. That was hugely inspiring and helpful to me, even more so than the feature film, which I also love. The YouTube channel of the Little Shaman, I know that Sarah talks about that a lot. That's a wonderful one that really helped me. Of course, Sarah's material. I also am going to be starting a channel. I can maybe give Sarah the link for that, and maybe you can post that like in the description.
Yes.
And yeah, I would, also say if you do have a local shelter or something, I found it on and off helpful, but good to be able to talk to somebody and get connected with local resources and maybe be able to meet up with somebody in person. That's been really helpful, as well. Trying to think. Oh, there's another video. I think actually Melanie Brown is in that one too, which is how I found her memoir, that I can give Sarah the link. It's like a short YouTube, like kind of a dance video about the sort of public and private dynamics of domestic violence that I thought was really evocative and helpful.
Yay. All right, did we cover everything? Did we get everything?
I think so. I think most of it. Oh yeah, and just of course, yeah, for all of you, I think Sarah said this, just document things, back it up,
Yes, you had.
even hold on to your own reality, like be able to, oh, this is a bruise.
Yes,
See it,
and one
picture
thing
of
that we learned from the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard bullshit is take pictures, okay? Because nobody's going to believe you if you're not documenting physical abuse, because nobody believes you when you go through or understands, emotional abuse, because they can't see it. They can't fucking see it. So they don't get it until they've been through it. So yes, document, please.
Yes,
Okay.
and keep a journal.
Yes. Excellent advice. Well, thank you, Anne-Marie, for coming over. And we'll have everything in the description box if you want to check that out. And I'm very happy that you are alive and that you went through all those avenues to, save yourself. I do believe that you're going to save lives yourself with your own channel and experience, and hopefully you write a book too. I want you to.
I want to.
This is huge. And even though there are some things in your case that we cannot talk about, it made my eyes go into silver dollars. So yes. So stay tuned for Anna.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Sarah, for having me on. It's really an honor. And just to plug Sarah's work, she's one of the reasons that I'm alive today. So I would encourage you all to book an appointment with her and talk to her and really get as much as you can out of that session. Like listen, when she says get out of this, take it from somebody who really does understand from both perspectives. And it was some of the best advice I ever took. So, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Namaste.
All right. I will pause the recording. Okay.